The evolution of Juneteenth. Juneteenth was celebrated recently, and it has raised a lot of questions on what exactly the holiday signifies, especially among non-Americans. So, let us break down its significance for you. But before we start our today's content, make sure to drop a like and don't forget to hit the bell icon below. So, without any further ado, let's get straight into the video. A famous word of June and 19th, Juneteenth, commemorates the day in 1865 when an association of enslaved individuals in Galveston, Texas eventually understood that they were independent of the organizations of slavery. This was after the then President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Juneteenth exemplifies freedom and also represents how liberation was tragically halted for enslaved people in the widest spans of the Confederacy. The first Juneteenth in 1866 was commemorated with singing, food, and the reading of spirituals, and it celebrated newly liberated black people carrying dignity in their improvement. Today, Juneteenth festivities stretch the world, with the multinational diaspora accepting the day as one of the comprehend liberations at large. Do you know why this day was necessary? Well, black people always faced discriminations and were depicted as inferior to whites. They were subjected to being slaves of the whitish people. After being greatly excluded in schools and colleges, the distinctions of the day has also risen in the last years, particularly amid a climate striving for justice for black lives. A new Gallup survey establishes that most Americans presently understand Juneteenth, and a bill was passed to declare Juneteenth a national holiday. It was seen while the past year has indicated that some sections in America are already protest against the systemic discriminations that proceeds to afflict the country. Others were inaugurating legislations to prohibit anti-racist teaching. These assignments would enable learners to comprehend the importance of a holiday like Juneteenth, as the American population proceeds to wrestle with how to speak about slavery and its undergoing effects. The national distinctions of Juneteenth is at least an outset of asserting the toxic path America was created and the foundational assistance of the enslaved. Let's now speak about the setting of the foundations of Juneteenth. Often related to the Second American Revolutions, the Civil War started in 1861 between Northern and Southern nations over slavery and financial power. A year into the conflict, the U.S. Congress enacted the Confiscations Act of 1862, which ratified Union battalions to invade Confederate estates, including enslaved people. Do you know that this act also gave power to the Central Army to recruit black soldiers? Months later, on January 1, 1863, President Lincoln ascertained the goals to the law by publishing the ultimate blueprint of the Emancipation Proclamation. The paper proclaimed that all individuals classed as slaves are subsequently shall be independent. While the declarations legally saved millions of enslaved individuals in the Confederacy, it acquitted those in the Union-loyal perimeter provinces of Delaware, Missouri, Maryland, and Kentucky. These provinces held Confederate compassions and could have seceded. Lincoln freed them from the declarations to avoid this. A year later, in April 1864, the Senate tried to shut this loophole by enacting the 13th Amendment, restricting slavery and spontaneous captivity in all Union and Confederate provinces. But the modifications wouldn't be legislated by ratifications until December 1865. So we can say that it took 2 years for the liberations of enslaved people to occur fairly. Although Juneteenth symbolized hope, it was shortly quashed. According to Gates, newly exempted black women and men mobilized around Juneteenth in the first year. It was comprehended, altering it from a day of unheeded martial laws into their annual rite. The first Juneteenth festivity took place in 1866 in Texas, with neighborhood meetings encompassing sporting tournaments, cookouts, blessings, proms, processions, and the singing of spirituals like Go Down Moses and Many Thousands Gone. Some occasions even featured fireworks, which pertained to restoring trees with gunpowder and putting them on fire. Societies would read the Emancipation Proclamations as a portion of the belief, which was particularly crucial during Reconstructions when the vacations enhanced hope. Reconstructions was a period to restore the Southern economy and community through the ratifications of the 13th, 14th, and 15th revisions, which gave the black community independence, due procedure, and the liberty to vote black-run Southern administrations and the endeavor of the Freedmen's Bureau, among other undertakings. But do you think the white people were satisfied with this? Let me help you with this answer. White races invariably disputed the objectives of Reconstruction. For instance, Democratic Congress fellows awarded Republican Rutherford B. Hayes the 1866 presidential elections in trade for the departure of Union battalions from the South, according to the famous historian Richard M. Valley, who wrote in his book The Two Reconstructions, The Struggle for Black Enfranchisement. Hayes won the elections, which greatly affected the black people. As stated by Fowley, they weakened the black people's confidence through violence and oppression. In 1890s, Mississippians inducted a white supremacist state legislations to disenfranchise regional black people. It included prerequisites that needed people to be eligible to read and comprehend all fractions of the state constitutions to vote, which forbade many illiterate black people from voting during those years. Black people understood the importance of Juneteenth and how it was solely needed to make them independent. Over time, Juneteenth dissipated from neighboring states like Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and finally California as black Texans shifted west. Understanding of the Juneteenth have also altered over the past centuries, as during World War I, white and some black people even deemed it un-American, unpatriotic, and humiliating because it concentrated scrutiny on a gloomy period in US history. On January 1st, 1980, Juneteenth came to be a Texas state holiday. Since that action, distinctive states started celebrating Juneteenth, and 48 states and Washington, D.C. nowadays recognize it. As a result, Juneteenth has been named several aspects over time: Emancipation Day, Juneteenth National Freedom Day, Jubilee Day, Black Independence Day, and Juneteenth Independence Day. And still, despite many aliases, Juneteenth has confronted rivalry from other liberation holidays. It has been uncommon to several Americans until probably last year, when extensive uprisings for racial justice occurred. In 2020, companies vowed to be anti-racist and many comprehend Juneteenth as a corporation holiday. Towns also took effort to comprehend Juneteenth precisely at the metropolitan level. For instance, Philadelphia, the area of one of the country's biggest Juneteenth ceremonies, upheld an administrative order appointing Juneteenth as an authorized city holiday for 2020. So you see that Juneteenth's history has stayed widely misinterpreted or even different until recently, as it's not frequently taught in schools or any other academy. Another persistent barrier to Juneteenth is the pervasive impressions that it's a black thing. It is discerned as a vacation just contemplated by African Americans and mistakenly accepted outside the African American population. It is anticipated as being a fraction of black civilizations and not American culture. Now, the significance of Juneteenth is being confiscated more extensively by activists as a chance for the United States to come to phrases with how slavery proceeds to influence the existence of all Americans today. It is something for every race of every nationality to include. Conceptions and stereotypes about black people lacking rationality and being subhuman are grounded in slavery. These toxic ideas still nurture themselves today, as we have already come to know about the indecent where police officers disproportionately assassinated black people and the healthcare network declined to look after black bodies sufficiently. Supporters assert that the national holiday obviously wouldn't put a verge on discriminations, but would relatively enable foster discussions about the damage that has occurred from the captivity of 4 million individuals for more than 250 years. The oldest nationally celebrated Freedom Day is considered the longest-running African-American holiday, and we know that it is celebrated every year on June 19th. Let me tell you one more fact about the Juneteenth. It is regarded as America's second Independence Day. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, Juneteenth was not celebrated to its fullest. Still, the lives of George Floyd, Eric Garner, and countless black people who were killed by the brutal police were remembered and celebrated as the most racist incident ever. All we can hope is that history should never repeat itself and that black people should never face such types of oppression again. And now it's time for your thoughts. What are your views regarding Juneteenth as a holiday? What is the most surprising thing you know about Juneteenth? Let us know in the comments section. If you enjoyed watching this video, make sure you like and share it with your friends. Subscribe and click the bell icon so that you can be notified promptly of our future uploads. See you in the next video.